Hello, Viking fans, and welcome to this edition of the Paul Kino Lamar Viking Baseball Coaches Show. I'm Bill Frawley, and with me, as always, of course, is head Viking baseball coach Paul Kino. Coach, how are you doing today?
Good.
Well, in the past few days, the Vikings have had a couple of interesting games. Let's begin with the home game against the Arlington Colts. And what a pitcher's duel that was. Tucker Isbell went the distance on the mound for the Vikings, gave up only one hit, I believe, made the only two hits for the Vikings, and the only two RBIs on a walk-off single. He has some really good defensive help while on the mound during the 7 innings. I know everyone would like to hear your perspective, Coach, including any kind of motivational talk you might have had with the team prior to the game. If there's anything about that you'd like to share.
It was a great ball game. It was windy. Kind of felt like it was going to be a low-scoring ball game because we get that south wind coming out of right field. Makes it really hard to drive it over guys' heads through to right and center. Ball will still kind of fly to left, but so it felt like it was going to be a low-scoring game. Tucker went out there and did a fantastic job. Like you said, he threw a one-hitter. Both hits, it was one of those things. It was just talking to the kids each inning about trying to get our hands on top of the baseball because, anything hit in the air was going to get knocked down pretty much. We hit a couple balls really, really hard, or a few balls really hard. We just got underneath them, and you hit it into the teeth of that wind, and it kills it right there. And so just kept talking about that. Kept talking about how keep playing well. We're playing good. I think those guys, they knew it was on the line. So they knew if they won, they were in the playoffs. They clinched their playoff spot. Depending on how we finish is depending on how we do the next two ball games, how Arlington High does. So I didn't really have to say a whole lot to them to get them fired up to play. As coaches, we always try to play, sometimes get into our players' minds, and when you're trying to deal with 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, that's not a place you want to be sometimes. Just they have so many things going on in their lives that can range, girlfriends, parents, whatever, could be going on affecting them. And I was just very proud of them. They did a fantastic job. They battled to the end. We were down 1-0 going into the seventh. Excuse me. We had some crucial at bats. Kids battled, drew a couple walks, I believe. And then Tucker came up with the big base knock.
And you're exactly right. You've nailed it all on the head, of course. And, and you've mentioned it before, and I'm glad you'll say it again. Never know what's going on in these teenagers' minds, because everyone goes to the game, probably coaches too, but you've got that right perspective. But fans, players, families, everything, us up in the booth, got a job to do. But man, I know what it's like just going to my job with things on my mind, and then thinking back to, being a teenager, that can really have some impacts. And you're right, man, they persevered like crazy, hung in there, never just laid down, including bottom of the seventh. And, again, talk about that VFND spirit. It was such an emotional end of the game too.
Oh, it was.
Running out on the field, dog piling Tucker, high-fiving, celebrating everyone, I could tell. And again, you can't help but notice the other team, someone's going to lose that game, just kind of flat and dismayed, like, oh my gosh, it just happened. But did you have any kind of post-game talk with the players that you
told them how proud I was of them? I just told them how proud I was of them, and welcome to the playoffs. It's, you kind of had a loss for words kind of right there. Like you said, it wasn't as in like it built up and we had the lead going into the seventh inning. It was a comeback, and kind of I don't want to say in awe, but it was just I was speechless. It was just guys, I'm so proud of you. How you battled, how you played tonight. All through everything we went through the season. Young man we thought was going to be a starting third baseman, was in a boot for a month. Missed the two first district series, trying to find a shortstop, Tucker moving over to short once Mason came back in the lineup and was able to play, finding Shryock, bringing him up off the JV to play short when Tucker's on the mound. Just a lot of little different things throughout the year that was a little rough, and they battled through all of it. They kept a good, good chemistry with the team. They kept good attitudes. They came to practice every single day and worked hard, and it paid off for them. And I was so excited for them, and I was so proud of them.
Coach, I love what you said, and thank you for taking this kind of up, maybe sort of that 30,000-foot perspective, so to speak. My question was kind of, focusing on the emotions and the perseverance of that game. But you said it so well. It's been a season-long perseverance, overcoming some obstacles. So I'm so glad you mentioned that, and that's what y'all's perspective is from the coaching staff, that type of thing. On Saturday, okay, the non-district game against Burleson, extra game able to be scheduled, probably because we missed some tournaments earlier in the season and UIL limitations on stuff. You started some players who have had minimal playing time this season, and I know each of them was excited to get a start and some time on the field at the plate. Was that a tough decision at all to have players come off the bench, so to speak, to start the game?
I mean, no, it really wasn't. I mean, I thought about it the night before. I mean, those young men haven't had a lot of opportunities. We lost the first tournament due to weather, and I felt pressure to get the guys at bats that they needed to be able to have an opportunity to make the playoffs. And so, a lot of kids, or not, I won't say a lot of kids, but some kids, their playing time went down or became very minimal. And, they came to practice every single day, just like their teammates did, and busted their tail end and worked hard. And I wanted to reward them. I mean, so, at first I thought, do we play all the starters? And then I was like, no, these kids, these kids deserve this opportunity. These kids deserve this chance to play. They haven't had a lot of them this year because, just weather knocked out 5 games where they probably would have got some playing time in. And I felt like I had to get, guys at bats, because if you want to look at it, we are pretty young.
Yes.
I mean, even, some of our returning seniors, a couple of them weren't starters last year, so they didn't have a lot of at bats. So they needed those at bats. We have 3 sophomores. Obviously, Cooper Bernard started for us last year, so he had a lot of at bats. But we had 2 sophomores up that didn't have that many at bats either. Trying to find a shortstop. You had some juniors up that were just coming up off the JV that needed some at bats, that were fighting for some positions. So it wasn't a tough decision, though. Those kids those kids deserved it.
Well, Coach, I think it's very admirable that you wholeheartedly say, and honestly, so it was not a tough decision. And like you said, those players deserve some playing time when it's appropriate and stuff. And we just talked about perseverance a minute ago. Those players that don't always get the limelight in the starts, they've persevered, like you said, going to every practice, positive attitudes. What can I do to help, and all that kind of stuff. So that's quite admirable, Coach. I love that.
I mean, I love all these kids. They're great kids. Like I've said before, and when we do this, I've been at Lamar for 21 years. I've been lucky to be there 21 years. I've been lucky to be the head coach 18. And I mean, I've just had year after year after year, great groups of kids. And I mean, I can't say enough about the kids that go to Lamar High School. I mean, just the things that they do, the baseball players, the ones that I deal with, I mean, they're incredible kids. And when I coach football, I love the football players. They're incredible kids. And I just feel very fortunate because, it can be a hard thing going to the field every game day and knowing that most likely you're probably not going to get in the game. And it can, a lot of young men can go sit on the bench and become, I guess I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but they can become
almost
upset.
Bitter or something.
Yeah. And then it can cause problems in the team, but these young men haven't. They came and they support their teammates and they cheer, and they're just great kids.
Definitely so. Well, coming up this week is the final week of district play with the series against South Grand Prairie Warriors. The Vikings host the Warriors on Tuesday night, play in Grand Prairie on Friday. This may sound like a dumb question, Coach. Does it seem like the team and coaches, the players are all fired up for closing out district play with a couple of W's?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay.
I mean, South Grand Prairie is a good baseball team.
Yeah.
the games are not going to be easy by any means. But when you play good teams, they never are. So we're gonna have to go out and we're gonna have to play well. We feel confident, if we go play well, that we're gonna have a chance to win at the end of the game, and or we're either gonna be ahead or we're gonna have a chance to win at the end of the game. So I mean, we're confident about that. Just ready to go, ready to keep playing, get going this week, get into it with South Grand Prairie, and see what happens.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so Monday night is going to be the sub-varsity doubleheader night as we've had during the season. There's a chance it's raining right now on Sunday as off and on as we record this show. I know there's chances of rain through the night into the day. If the field is not playable at Lamar for the JV2 team on Monday, is there a chance it gets rescheduled for Wednesday?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to try to reschedule it to either Wednesday or Thursday. We play at home on Tuesday, so we can't play it then. And also the varsities are playing on Tuesday, so they don't have enough officials to cover sub-varsity games on the same night. So yeah, most definitely we want them to play.
Excellent. Well, so then the schedule is 5:45 as of right now, weather permitting, doubleheader, JV2 at home, JV1 over at South Grand Prairie, and then Tuesday night 7:00 p.m. varsity at home, Friday 7:00 varsity at South Grand Prairie to wrap up district play. Coach, let's shift gears like we usually do toward the end of the show about the Booster Club for a few moments. There's been quite a few people stepping up into each of the jobs that need to be done. And there's always room for more. And I sit there and think sometimes it might be easier for players, family members to think, there's always plenty of folks over there doing this, doing that, but it's not always the case. There's room for one or two more and everything. We've done it so many times, but I think it's so valuable. Would you please remind everyone how important and valuable the Booster Club is?
We talk about it every show. The program would not be the same without the Booster Club. The Booster Club does so much. New uniforms this year. Again, I'm always going to credit the AISD with giving us a great budget, but it's just never enough. I had to buy some baseballs towards the middle, towards a couple weeks ago. And they were $80 a dozen for diamonds.
Wow, so inflation, they're going up.
Yeah. So 80, I look back and I think they were 73, when I first bought them at the beginning of the season. So they went up $7. But $73, $80, when you have to buy the amount of baseballs that we have to buy, not only game balls, but practice balls, then you replace bases every couple years and whatever you need to buy. It's, our budget's just not enough. So without the great Booster Club that we have, we couldn't do it. We could do it, but it would be not done the way it is right now, and which is done awesome. If you're at the game Friday, the Booster Club put 2 new signs out in right field. They replaced the old signs. They look fantastic. So the Booster Club it's so important.
I'm so glad you brought up the 2 new signs, and it's just another thing that this group under this excellent leadership is doing. It may seem like subtle things, but things like that to just give it more of a newish kind of refreshed and of course Viking feel to it all. So
what I love is the Booster Club, and especially, I've had great Booster Club. All my Booster Club presidents have been great Booster Club presidents. Mr. Schutte and Miss Schutte has been doing such a great job. They see things that I don't see. I'm very focused on what happens in between the lines and practice and all those things. I don't always focus on the outside of the field and different things to be able to make our place look better and make it, outstanding. And, they see it and they come up with fantastic ideas, and let's go do them. Let's make our field, our place incredible.
And like you say, that's such a value. They see the things you don't, because you have your job you're focused on, and they can spend that time and with the multitude of people doing that as well. And I'm going to guess, as a coach, especially over 21 years in coaching, you've been to places where the Booster Club either just, sometimes almost non-existent to mediocre to outstanding. So again, we are very fortunate here.
We are extremely.
Well, Coach, anything else you want to add before we sign off for this week?
Oh, man, I'm just excited. It's an exciting time. It's getting towards playoffs. We're in, and it's just an exciting time. I can't wait for practice tomorrow. You know, it may be raining. We may have to go inside, but, you know, just going to have a good time and enjoy being around the kids. You know, like I said before, I've got a great group of kids every year. I do. You know, last year I had a great group with your son, and they're just so much fun to be around. And, you know, at times, you're coaching and you're managing, 15 through 18 year olds. Sometimes it's a little hard, I mean, as
Sure.
far as, you're trying to get them up, trying to get them to play, trying to read them, see, what's going on in their life. What, is everything okay? That he looks down today, you know, always having a bad practice, what's going on. But it's so much fun. And I love going to practice every single day. I love getting to see these kids. I love it when I see them smile. And I mean, it just makes my day.
Well, Coach, thank you for what you do. And thank you for being the impact on these boys, young men who are turned into young men, or whatever phases they're at, because you and your coaches are having a huge impact on them. And I personally know that. And I see it in the other players that aren't even, haven't been related to me. Like I've said before, our two sons went through the program. You've had positive impacts on both of them. And I still see it, I saw it before and I see it afterwards. So great job to you.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's just, I have a great staff. I've been looking very fortunate at Lamar my entire career there, that I've had a great baseball staff that I get the chance to go to work with every single day. My coaches that I work with, they're fantastic people. I've had great, Mr. Hagman's awesome. I've had great principals. I've had, great athletic directors and great athletic coordinators at Lamar that make my job a lot easier and just make it fun.
Well, speaking of fun, have fun at practice this week. Have
Thank
fun
you.
at the games. It's just got to be awesome knowing you've clinched playoff spot. You're not having to fight for it even into the last game. And it's not a deal either where we don't have a chance of making it. So we'll just drudge through the last week, and which is we would have a coaches show regardless in a week after the end of district play, but that won't be the final one of the season. We already know. So we're looking forward to that in a week.
Yes, very much.
All right. Well, until that show in about a week, I'm Bill Frawley with head Viking baseball coach Paul Kino saying BFND.
Bye, everybody.